Hi everyone, welcome to the Stay Hungry podcast. I've got a special guest for you today. Let's do this. Jake Buchanan from the Prince's Trust, head of content, laughing at me on the podcast. Hello.
Well, it's just the intro was very like I thought I could drink some tea, but the intro was like bish bash bosh.
Yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
what brings you back?
What brings me back? Well, a lot has happened since we last spoke, Joe. Oh, bit of a pandemic.
Yeah, there has been a pandemic. Yeah.
Been a pandemic. I'm pretty sure we didn't speak in the pandemic on this forum. We've obviously been chatting off comms a lot.
Yeah.
The PlayStation Network.
For the listeners, we are actually friends. Just because you've become like a big time head of content at the Prince's Trust doesn't mean I won't sometimes bring you back down to earth.
Whatever, man. You're a director of a company over here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well. So, yeah, I mean...
Well, I think that the main thing for me is that, like, I've learned tons in this last year. And, like, I don't know, man. Like, just when I thought that I kind of had the game rigged, it just completely, like, threw everything up in my face. Like, and I guess it's quite humbling, professionally humbling. Obviously, like, I'm not going anywhere near the fact that, like, it's been a really rank year for everyone. I've been lucky enough to stay in work, just to kind of say that. I know a lot of people haven't. And as people don't know, I work for the Prince's Trust. That's my day job. I do freelance here and there, but my day job is Prince's Trust. And the Prince's Trust basically help young people age 16 to 30 get a job, start a career and build their confidence. So, you know, on the ground for us, it's been like real time, like kind of see how the kind of state of the UK youth is. And it's not great at the moment. And I hear a lot of horror stories about people being out of work, and not just like young people, like my friends as well, you know? So I wanted to just say, like, anything I'm going to say about how hard it is there's
a caveat. There's a
caveat. Professionally difficult, but in the grand scheme of things, really good.
Yeah, that's nice. So obviously today, for our listeners, we're going to be talking about a few geeky things around video production, also how to deal with people. So I'm going to force you to name drop in a bit and talk about some of the people you have to deal with, not in a negative sense, but just how to get what you need out of people, and just generally, you know, how to make content and how to take a piece of content and repurpose it into several pieces of content, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Facebook, static stuff. But yeah, you're obviously head of content. That's what you do. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's classical head of content roles out there, which would be more like web-based, you know, all the kind of web copy and everything. I'm generally more in-house production, I always say, like video and in-house graphics and that kind of stuff. Very small team I manage, but like it's quite as you know, Joe, and your clients probably know, people creating content aren't just creators. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
So like, and because the tools are so available, that's great. With that though comes a lot of extra problems that can arise from like people going off brand, or, you know, all that kind of really great stuff, which you probably have to deal with quite a lot for your client. Do your clients kind of like, you know, they get so-and-so, you know, Auntie Jane to do a flyer, and they might as well have done it themselves because it's all out of brand and it's all, you know, all over the place, tone of voice. So a lot of what we do in house isn't just my team. It's all about making sure that like the rest of it's on brand. And I'm not going to sit here and say I get it right every time. You know, there's things that go out sometimes on social. I'm like, yikes, probably should have been across that. But, you know, it's fine. And because like we are a royal brand, we have to be extra careful.
Sure, that makes sense.
And that is quite tricky, because it's always chicken and the egg at the trust when it comes to marketing, always. So like, you want to attract the young people, so you need to turn your cap backwards and you need to put your hoodie up, and you need to be down with the kids on the
Do
marketing.
people still wear their caps backwards? Is that a thing?
That's what we do. We get, I get a skateboard out, tubular, radical, all that kind of stuff. The
Yeah.
kids relate to that kind of cool, wicked dude stuff. No, I should say the kids, young people. You know what I'm trying to say? There's different audiences, right? And I think in your book, you talk about the audiences, Joe.
Oh, the book that's behind you there, conveniently
That book
placed.
there, it's called Stay Hungry, available all good retailers right about now. And Kindle editions also available.
Cheers, Jake.
It's all right, mate. All I'm trying to say is that when you're marketing to young adults, young people, it's wildly different marketing to your supporters. And unfortunately, you need the young people through the door to tell the supporters how much you're supporting and how you're getting on. But you also need the money to support the young people. And as a marketing team, and this is not me going out, speaking out on a limb, that's a challenging thing for the marketing team. And it's not just like a unique problem to the Prince's Trust. I think that's a unique problem for everyone. Like you need the clients to grow. You need the money to grow, but you haven't got the money because you haven't got the clients, and it's all like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's no different at the Trust. At the Trust, again, we're a charity. And we offer we are a non-profit model. So basically what that means is money comes in, money goes out. Like that's it. Like we're not there to make money. So as a charity sector, the charity sector is always on a bit of a knife's edge. So it's challenging, and the pandemic threw up a lot of stuff.
So talk to me about what you mean in terms of brand management, because I know what you mean. But from a listener's perspective, I guess I'd kind of describe it. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember when photography went digital, and suddenly every man and his dog was a photographer. And
I'm too young for that, though.
It's like, no, you're not a photographer. You've got a camera. There's a very distinct difference. And in the content game, there's a real difference between having a podcast setup, video equipment, Adobe Suite, Final Cut, whatever it might be, and actually being a professional content creator.
Yes, and that's kind of the whole thing. So, okay, so for me, and this is like, it may not be an official definition, but for me, upholding the brand is kind of making sure you uphold your brand values, making sure that when you speak, you are speaking as the company would speak. So almost like giving your company like a persona, a voice. That's kind of like how I see it. Now, we have different personas and different voices at the Prince's Trust, depending on who we speak to.
Yeah.
So, but on the top line, if Joel Stone, who's just looking through Twitter or Facebook, they say the Prince's Trust, they will instantly think it's royal, and they will instantly connect the dots to His Royal Highness. So we have to be super careful with lots of different things. Obviously, completely apolitical. We never, that wouldn't be the case anyway. Politics has got no game with helping young people. But it's got to be very careful. So even though you do have these voices, ultimately the brand is royal.
Yeah.
So you need to be really careful that you're speaking on behalf sometimes of His Royal Highness, and that's that can be a challenge, but the good news is that because of the royal connection, we do manage to get more of a seat at the table sometimes, with business. At least it opens the door slightly to ambassadors.
So this is your fault now. You brought it up. So talk to me about some of the people you've had at the table, either for helping you with content, partnerships, that kind of thing, because I know there's some cool ones.
Well, we have at the Trust, we have like a whole celebrity ambassadors team that look after the relationships with ambassadors. And generally speaking, the way it works is I'll get an email normally on a Wednesday at 10 p.m. saying, I don't know, so and so. I'm not going to drop too many names, by the way, because something. I need to be careful how I say it, but I'll say a couple of stories.
I want the ones in the public domain, the ones that.
Yeah.
Right there.
Generally, I'll get like a call, and this is generally how celebrities work. Anyway, they're busy people, and I'll get a call saying, "Oh, so and so is doing something next week, and you've got to go, and everything has to be down tooled, and you've got to go." So, a couple of our ambassadors that have helped us recently, they're always the ones that I feel that are the ones that fully get it. Like, so Gareth Southgate, I'm not a football guy, Joel. You know me. I couldn't care about the beautiful game. I know you're a football guy. All my friends are football guys. That's the weird thing. All my friends are football guys. I'm just not. I just didn't get the bug, whatever. But Gareth Southgate, he's been really great for the trust, and he gets a lot out of it as well. And they're always the partnerships we're looking for. And they're always the celebrities we want to deal with.
Yeah.
The ones that are going to get out of it. So in his case, Gareth Southgate, he's actually a current sponsor on a course called Future Leaders, which is all about kind of making yourself more of a manager, whether that means being yourself a manager, as in like representing your self-esteem and going into job interviews, or actually leading a team, like yourself, whoever, like that kind of like level. So and he is a great fit for the trust because his story is compelling. He was the youngest manager in history in the Premier League. He came across load of adversity for that because no one took him seriously. He speaks openly about that. I'm not saying, anything he wouldn't say. And I've been fortunate enough to work with him a handful of times, and he's been a really good one. And they're the partnerships we're looking for at the trust. And generally speaking, people that have been through, I'm going to use the word adversity, but it's not necessarily that relevant. But I guess being through kind of like, being made redundant or just not knowing where they want to go or whatever, they're the people that understand the product more.
Yes. So the people who've had to demonstrate resilience. People who've had to demonstrate resilience in the past.
Exactly. Yeah. That's basically it. And I think for us, you can sniff those people. Those people don't come along very often. And by the way, the power of celebrity is huge for the trust. Like,
of course,
the royal the trust,
literally the royal we.
Yeah, the trust has great celebrity ambassadors, and they do such amazing work for us. We don't use them that often, though. That's the thing. You've got to be careful with the celebrities, because if you overdo it, your audience is going to get bored. They're going to get bored doing the same thing. Because really, when it comes to celebrities, the ones that are really close to us, like Gareth Southgate's, Fern Cotton's another one who is our well-being ambassador. They work with us relatively regularly, and they've got kind of dedicated things to do.
Yeah.
Whereas they've got stuff to kind of latch on to. Like Fern Cotton did some stuff for us recently on Mental Health Awareness Week, and every year there's always that kind of uptick on her stuff, because they've kind of got like an ongoing, almost like unofficial employees, like they kind of help out, Whereas when it comes to the colder celebrities, they want to help, they haven't got the time, so we approach them for the big campaigns, and we're always trying to creatively try a different thing with them, and that's challenging, man. When it comes to content, I gotta say, it is really hard to kind of like get that authenticity across when, and no fault to the celebrities, they're getting briefed on it, they're a bit cold to it,
and they're in a rush. They're literally in a rush,
and it's difficult. And like the ones that we work with get it, and that's great. And it's recently we just launched a partnership with Ant and Dec.
Nice.
That's been a big one.
How many Biker Grove references have you made so far?
I didn't.
No,
and I wouldn't have the cojones to do it.
Was it?
I may talk the talk in private, Joel, about all this stuff, but I just couldn't sit there and be like, I kind of see, man. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't ask him about paintball accidents or anything.
No. But I was meant to actually go and film with them, which would have been a bit of a...
Sorry.
I was meant to go, but because of the coronavirus, I couldn't get the sign off for the studio and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was working with their social media team, actually.
Okay.
And that was really interesting. I've never worked so closely with a social media team, because like some celebrities do just have those people that are running their accounts, and it's not very rare that a celebrity would run their own accounts, but it's more often than not
there's somebody there, an assistant,
either an in-house team or people like yourselves that they would reach out to as their company.
Don't give the game away.
Who you got on the books now, Joe?
I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, here we go. I thought you were working with Sooty, no?
Not anymore.
No?
That's a really awkward one that we shouldn't talk about.
I'm so sorry. Didn't mention anything.
Yeah.
Apparently you got involved with Basil Brush and it went wrong.
I'd love to do
Bodger and Badger came and messed it all up again.
I've got a fun fact for you about Bodger and Badger. Have I ever told you this?
No.
So my brother, who is nothing to do with social media or content, for whatever reason in his teens decided to set up the Bodger and Badger Facebook page because nobody else had, including the BBC.
What?
And he got it to 150,000 followers. And he was just like, say England scored a goal in the World Cup, he'd go and do a post saying, that was a great goal, but not as good as mashed potato. And he'd just do it constantly. And eventually the BBC wrote to him and took it off him.
Oh.
But he was fine with that. He'd like built it up. And then they gave it up and he's got it back. So my brother's the voice of Bodger and Badger on Facebook.
What, on Twitter?
Facebook.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
But he doesn't give a shit. Oh, okay, I swear.
Yeah, you can swear, yeah.
He doesn't give a shit, Joel. That's the thing. Dude's a fireman.
He is a fireman.
He's not on social media.
It's
really.
It's embarrassing when I run a marketing company and we do obviously a lot of content work, and the biggest account I've ever seen in growth terms is one my little brother who's a fireman set up. But pretty cool. Anyway, we digress. So Anton Deck, what have you been doing with them?
Oh, right, yeah. So Anton Deck, I've been working... Okay, so what I've been doing with this, probably a more of a natural way into this conversation. They've, like Gareth Southgate, have sponsored and actually they've made their own course for the Trust.
Nice.
So they came up, obviously, through Bike Grove and stuff. I think where they tell it is that they went... The production company went to their school.
Yeah.
And they just ended up doing the audition at school. Like, it was just a chance encounter.
I've got a confession.
What?
First CD I ever bought. I had cassettes. PJ and Duncan Syke. Still got it.
That's more worrying.
I stand by a couple of those tunes.
The thing is that the first CD I ever bought was Michael Jackson, Dangerous.
First album I ever bought was Michael Jackson, History, but on cassette.
Yeah, because I'm older than you, so Dangerous would be... Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's not get into Michael Jackson talk around here.
No.
Listeners' remorse, you know. Yeah, they've started their own program with the Prince's Trust, Anton Deck, which is called Make It in Media. Which I gotta say, man, I'm not just sat here being a Prince's Trust fanboy because I work for them, but my word, like, if I was young and I saw this thing, I would be bowled over. Basically, it's all about all the jobs.
I've got one problem with it.
Go on.
It should have been called Watch Us Wreck the Mic.
It should have been called that, or that could have been the tagline.
Yeah,
Make It in Media.
I guess young people wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about, though. So Make It in Media makes more sense.
They only know them Saturday Night Takeaway.
Yeah.
Because depressingly, the people that we're dealing with a lot of the time are born over the millennium line, Joel. That's
like the people I employ, and I make references. I wore on my birthday last week. I wore a Turtles t-shirt to work, and nobody knew what it was.
Well, the Turtles are
current, but it was the classic Turtles,
right?
And they were like, "What? Those Turtles look weird." And I was like, "No, this is Don't get me started."
What? Who's your turtle, Joe?
Oh, someone asked me that. I think Michelangelo.
Okay, I'm always Raphael.
See, I was Raphael growing up. I understand why you're Raphael.
Yeah.
I've tried to be more positive as I've got older, and so I've had to leave Raphael in my past. If we went real deep,
he's the only real one there, Joel. Michelangelo's just in a bloody cuckoo land.
If we went real deep, my favourite character is Casey Jones.
Oh, come on. Character Casey Jones. I always remember, and this is again a tangent, sorry, you're getting me into this, because I actually watched the trailers for the Turtles films recently.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I went down YouTube.
The old school Turtles films.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
The Secret of the Ooze is shit. Just throw that out there.
Not that, the new ones are terrible.
No. That's the third one of the original trilogy, Secret of the Ooze.
The third one. Yeah, the third one's
Stinking.
terrible.
They go to Japan.
Even when I was in primary school, I thought that was a bad film. So it must be really bad. The very first film, man, actually very good.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually got quite a massive message to it, and that was the first film I ever went to cinema.
Really, that's a solid start.
Not bad, 1990, and I remember it as clear as day because I remember my dad let me fill up the car full of petrol, and I was very weak, much like I am now. I had little bird arms, and I couldn't hold it properly, and I pressed the gun before I went into the thing, and I stunk of petrol. My dad was too Glaswegian and Scottish to go back home and change my trousers. So I sat in the cinema, stinking of petrol, and I had a load of people looking really just weirded out while young boys smell of petrol.
It's quite fun.
And that was my first cinema experience.
What a film, though. My first cinema film was All Dogs Go to Heaven. Terrible.
Nah.
The first one,
I'm there for Turtles.
The first one I remember is Jurassic Park, so that's better.
Yeah,
but
although it was a bit tainted for me when I walked out the cinema. And my first words were from my dad, "Well, that was crap." It's a classic dad thing to say. It was all shot in the dark. It was Turtles, man.
I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Couldn't understand what they're saying. Shot too dark. But I loved it. And that Raphael scene, man, when he goes through the roof.
Yeah, no, I'm all for the original. The first two, particularly the first one. I think the first one's got really high production values. It's a solid film. But
you're speaking about not relating to the kids.
Yeah.
I've had one of those challenges this year, John.
Oh, well done on bringing it back. I'm proud of you.
With launching TikTok.
Okay.
So that's been definitely a time in my life where I've definitely, for a long time, I've known I'm too old for many things. Current rap music, whatever it may be. Too old to wear skinny jeans, all that kind of stuff. I'm over it now, right?
You sure?
Yeah.
Because we both still wear snapbacks and people look at us funny.
Yeah, that's true. I'll head into my 40s.
Do you know what upsets me is I wear skate shoes and snapbacks, and I always have, but now they're fashionable again, and people look at me like I'm a tryhard.
Well, when we were in school, Joel, it was all about the skater culture. That was a huge thing, and I've heard that isn't skating back again?
Yeah, so Andy's kids, I think they're young. I think they're 10 and 13 or 9 and 13, both got skateboards.
And you know what my theory is about this, John? Every time there's a new Tony Hawk's game, the world goes skate crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
What was I going to say? TikTok, right? So we launched a channel last year on the Prince's Trust, and for about a year and a half before we launched it, there was a lot of debate whether we should. I was always in the camp that we probably should, but many caveats around it.
Yeah.
So we basically launched it, and we decided to set some ground rules. And this is definitely a content thing that we learn, and I've learned since. And it's all about, again, knowing your audience. There's no point going on TikTok and talking about your fundraising event. There's just no point. That's not where your audience is, right? So we go on TikTok to talk about employment tips, like snackable tutorial videos.
Yeah.
How to make your CV better, and just breaking it down with the green screen behind, here's the summary about yourself. Here's what your job skills are. Keep it 1 page or 2 pages max, all that kind of stuff. So we set a rule set, and it's gone really well for us. And again, luckily, we got a partnership with TikTok. In the early days, we don't have that partnership anymore. It was just to kind of get off the ground because it was the right time for them because they were trying to rebrand themselves as more of a learning platform in certain areas. So it's called #Learn with TikTok, and the Prince's Trust jumped on that. And that was the kind of thing that we decided, now is the time to jump. But I would say, it's not the be all and end all. I don't think that if your brand doesn't fit it, just don't do it, because that's not what your audience is, because it's a very hungry, labor intensive. It can be a very labor intensive platform.
So you need a lot of organic content.
Yeah, if I was just a freelancer videographer going around, I probably would have a TikTok because you can just do it off your phone real quickly. That's not labor intensive. But when you start doing it as a company, you've got all these weird things that come into play. Like you can't post, you have to give you the login details to your phone to certain members of staff, and like, it all gets a bit messy, like most social media accounts. So what we decided to do was go, you know what, we're not doing that because it gets a bit weird. Again, brand problems. We're going to enlist a whole group of young people to make content for us.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to be, like we're talking about before, the dad at the disco. We don't want to be like, yo, 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 wicked cool dudes, like the Prince's Trust that aren't we cool, because it looks rank. Like it looks like you're trying really hard. Whereas if you get young people to make the content for you and publish it, that's the way to do it. So we get sent the raw videos, we edit them, we send them out, and we co-create the content together.
Nice.
And that's kind of how we run the TikTok channel, really.
That's cool. Yeah, I was chatting to, not chatting to, I was at a talk by Rob Moore, the disruptive entrepreneur, at the weekend. He's got a really popular TikTok, but he's like in his 40s, and he just repurposes his content and puts it out there because it gets so much organic reach. And he just unashamedly does it. He's like, yeah, I realise that this platform's been embraced by young people, but those young people are going to get older and grow up. So I'm getting my content out there now. And I thought that was a really interesting take on it. Where
and if your brand supports that, that's cool. Like, as in, like, I wouldn't have any problems doing it if I was a freelancer on my own back, because, like you just said, you can do it in a way which is okay. And also, if you're doing actual information which is valid, like if I was to do it, I'd be filming. And I'd say, oh, just changing the lens, This is 50 mil versus other mil. Here's what it gets done, like in a whatever way.
Yeah,
that's what people come to older people for, I guess, or like whatever. When it gets a bit embarrassing is when it's like, in my opinion, you've got like mums and dads dancing to the latest top 40 song.
That's like, I would hate it if like one of the brands we manage, probably 75% of the brands we manage, their target audience is probably 30 to 60 in that band.
Yeah.
I'd hate it if the director of one of those firms decided to do a TikTok dance craze because he thought he wanted to like land on TikTok. It's like, no, the platform's a distribution platform, and at the moment, if you want organic reach, the best place to get organic reach is TikTok. But you've still got to be authentic. You can't just jump on the bandwagon. It's like when it's like when these trends come onto Instagram or Facebook and everybody jumps on it and tries to do it themselves. And it's like, you're not doing your brand any justice by jumping on somebody else's idea and then trying to copy it, unless you're genuinely and authentically part of that movement.
Couldn't say any better myself, mate. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. Like first of all, when you're a brand on TikTok, if you have to sign yourself up as a brand when you go on there, and then you can't use any top 40 music.
Like on Reels.
Yeah, so basically that kind of negates a lot of that anyway, because a lot of the crazes come from like,
famous songs,
the latest song, whatever. I was trying to think of the current.
That's why that banjo song's so famous on there, because it's one of the license-free tunes in the background, isn't it?
And then for us, our target audience is younger. Like we notoriously find it very hard to reach the younger, like school leavers.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of an area which we find it a bit harder to market to, because they're not really on Twitter. They are on Instagram, but you can only get a certain amount of information out on Instagram, to grab attention. We can do graphics and stuff, right? So the theory for us to be on TikTok was, you know what? We're not going to catch many signups. If you're looking for action, you're not going to capture that from TikTok. You're not going to get a load of click-through rates from TikTok. What you are going to get is brand awareness. And maybe down the line, that brand awareness will sink in.
Plants a seed.
Yeah. So that's kind of where, and we're trying to run it in a way which is less labor intensive. By my colleague, she runs the channel really. And she's kind of has meetings with the guys to kind of flesh out new ideas. And, so for us, it is quite hands off, but it has slowed down in the few months because, it is a hungry platform and it needs resource. No matter, like any social media platform, if you go into it and you start posting furiously for the first 2 weeks of its life, it's going to be great. You've got to keep that momentum up. And that's where we have sometimes hit fatigue, because we're like, oh, we're just so busy at work. I can't pull myself up to it. Like, Kaylee would come to me, my colleague, and she'll be like, Jake, we haven't got a video this week from the guys. Like, we need something. And we'll task with doing it, and maybe I'll have to turn something around. But it's hard to get into that mindset sometimes.
Yeah.
To be like, right, you're working really hard and you've got to do a TikTok. It is difficult. So it's all about setting the time aside. And if you say to yourself, I'm going to do a TikTok on a Thursday afternoon, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
It's all about in that moment. Like, you kind of almost have to think quite organically about it.
We hugely talk to our clients about content repurposing. So, for example, like, we don't have a TikTok, but if we did, we would take this video now of you and I, and we would cut out the most succinct, poignant pieces and turn them into TikToks or turn them into Reels. And they'd just be those little 3-second bites, and we get some text graphics up, because we can't afford to make content for TikTok and then do separate content for Reels and then do Instagram and then do Facebook and then do Twitter and then do LinkedIn. Everything we do has to have multiple purpose, because, we're a relatively small team, a team of 10. We can't invest that much time.
10 now, is it? Well, that's a lot since we last spoke.
Yeah, things are changing. But we can't afford to just try and do things as one-off individual things. There's very few people out there who do that.
No, it doesn't work. And it's the same for us. We've got a massive resource issue at the trust. Like I said, we're a charity. We haven't got the money to burn. Like, everyone's there is doing the job of 1.5, 2 people. Like, it is a lot of work a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that's not just in my department. That's that's just an industry thing, right? And I think, like, you're always on that state of, like, if you've got too much work, we can't get someone else in, because you kind of always got that too much, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that for us, we try our damnedest to strategize on the repurposing side of it. Doesn't always work, but you always have to look at every channel. I mean, when it comes to Ant and Dec stuff, that was actually quite easy, because they sold it for us because it's Ant and Dec.
Yeah.
Right. So we didn't have to do much repurposing. If anything, all I had to do for that video was put the 16:9 in a vertical frame for IGTV.
Yeah.
And I made a square version for the rest of the channels. Like, because it's Ant and Dec, it's almost like, because we knew.
Explain what you mean by that.
Good.
So, sorry, just to cut in, talking about vertical frame, squares and stuff. You and I know what that means, but people listening, business owners listening to this podcast, what do you mean by that?
Essentially, just like looking at your social medias, like technical specifications, and then making sure your video fits them. So, like, for social media, I call the kind of the general ones, like Facebook and Twitter, they'll generally accept a square video.
Yeah.
It's better to use a square frame for those channels because it looks better on a phone.
Yes.
You can put a 16:9, which is the normal classic landscape video, up on those platforms, but if you're short of time, no harm in doing that. Like, again, that's another one of those things that I think that people get a bit snobbish about. And actually, like, if you're a business owner and you've got if you're one team of 1 or 2 or whatever, it's better to have it out there than for you to, and you haven't got the skill set to be making these different versions. But yeah, that's what I mean by it. So vertical frame would be the vertical frame.
Yeah, IGTV, TikTok.
Yeah, that's
Reels,
the landscape.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me in the picture there. Hey Jake.
Oh,
Hey Joe.
It's really meta now.
Yeah.
Stop
I
it.
get another one. Oh no, it's gone on my lock screen then. Got a message from my garage.
Quality content.
That's what I mean. But with that in mind, though, there is a whole host of tools out there for video, Joel, that I did want to say, because, like, we use them as well. Because, like I said, like, I'm a creator. I've been in this game for 15 years making content. My blind spot was always the consumer tools.
Yeah.
So when people ask me, like, how do I go and make stuff? I'm always like, well, I don't know, download Premiere Pro. But then you think, oh, Premiere Pro is like 50 quid a month. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And again, at the trust, we're lucky. Like, I managed to get a license through the trust, which Adobe actually gifts us every year. That's not a given. We have to make sure that we are producing content, and we have to, that's a partnership.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an amazing thing that we get. But if I was a freelancer, I'd be like, wow, 50 quid a month, that's a lot. I like being a creator freelancer, I would have to stomach that cost, because that's what the industry uses. If you're just like, I'll take my brother as an example. He's a small business owner. He's got a business washing and detailing cars, getting cars back to their showroom quality. He's just started this business, and he's one of the rare breeds that actually really wants to and understands the power of digital and the power of digital marketing. He wants to be on Facebook, he wants to be on Instagram, he wants to do all these things, and he's learning the skill sets as he goes. He hasn't got the time to do this stuff, right? So there's a couple of different things you can do. There's a tool called, I don't know if you've used it, Canva.
I think, well, a lot of our clients
Canva's a really
use
easy
Canva.
one to use for like if you're short of time. A lot of the time, it can be as simple as clicking a button and it auto-generates graphics for you, and you just move things around. That's a great one for like, really quick content for your phone.
Yeah, lots of templates.
Very much a month. Yeah, templates, really good stuff. There's also a thing called Lumen 5, which we've used at the Trust a few times, which is basically an automated video service. So it will create videos for you where you just have a blog post, and then you upload that text, and then they find stock footage for you and put it into a video format.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've got to go in there and just quickly temper it, but there are a couple of cheat sheets you can do to kind of get yourself off the ground and running. And I think that then when you see results, like if your posts suddenly start getting more with these Lumen 5 videos or your kind of new graphics, that's when maybe you could put some more money into upskilling yourself.
Yeah.
Or put some time
Let's do more like
stuff.
that. But
because you could put all your effort into making all this content, and it's going to get you 5 extra likes because your audience doesn't want that.
They don't care. That's the reality. Is that, like, if it comes from the Prince's Trust, a certain amount of polish is expected. If it comes from Codebreak, a certain amount of polish is expected. If you're running a car detailing business, it's how well are the cars detailed that people care about. The quality of the content, as long as it reflects how well the car's been detailed, the before and after, they're not concerned that you're not a professional videographer. If anything,
it goes against you.
Because it looks like you've got more money. It looks like you're going to be really expensive.
So I did a couple of videos for my brother, for free, and just to kind of get him started on pro level. I've actually decided to pull that back now, and he wants me to do loads more of them. But I keep saying to him, no, you need to be the one to do the videos on your phone for Instagram, because you can have these glossy videos, but like you just said, Joel, it's going to go against you. And sometimes, like, his brand relies on him. He is the brand.
He's the face, yeah.
So having Mike's Auto Care, Aston Munso, Shropshire, for all your detailing needs. Mike's Auto Care, I'll say it again. Sorry, Mike's Auto Care, he is the brand face in it. And his tone of voice, I wrote all the brand guidelines for him, and I wrote all the tone of voice from him. Now, the thing about my brother is that he is the client. So when I wrote everything for him, he's the bozo he's trying to market to. He just doesn't know that yet. And it's really hard for him to think that, because he's the one that owns a business. So having shaky camera footage, selfie filmed of the car's going to look amazing no matter what camera you're pointing at it.
Yeah.
Like, really. Like, you can see a piece of crap car, but the fact is this car is going to always gleam if you've got a first generation iPhone or the newest one. So that's kind of where I've said to him, like, let's go a bit more user created on your stuff, because it can look a bit disingenuous. And the one thing I did say to him from the outset for his business, and this is, again, another thing for content to be aware of, is, sorry, my chair squeaking, is to be honest to yourself. So, like, for him, I never post. I run his channels a little bit for him while he gets going. I never put any filters on them, ever.
Yeah.
Because we can always come back and say, no filter. That's just how the car looks. Like, you can't get us on that.
Yeah.
So it's all about thinking about how you position your content.
Yeah, and if you're a car detailing company or a hairdresser or a beautician, if you use filters, someone will use that against you at some point in the future.
100%. Any kind of stuff. Like, and if you do that, you have to explicitly say it. Like, if he wanted to post, if he wanted to doctor a car picture and make it look as pang and as so good, then he should put filter applied or whatever, whatever. Yeah. And he understands that, luckily. But I think content's all about authenticity. Going right back to the conversation about TikTok. And actually, with the pandemic, it's been a huge learning curve, all the user created footage that I've been using. Obviously, all I've been doing for the last year and a half is chopping up Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Difficult. My head's always been like, go out and shoot it and get it yourself. But I've had to actually make myself better at briefs, because I know what I want. But when I'm asking people to do it for me, you start writing the brief, you think, well, actually, they won't know to get a cutaway shot of.
It wouldn't cross their mind.
Cutaway shot of selling the book or whatever it is. So it's made me better at like the kind of pre-production phase, because historically for me, I've always been pretty bad at pre-production because I'm the one that's doing the content.
Yeah.
Like I will write down the things I need to know, shot lists. It'll be in Jake language. Anyone else that needs to dissect, it needs to be with Nicolas Cage in a National Treasure film to kind of decipher the code.
I don't know what terrible. You meant then, but
Nicolas Cage, National Treasure is a treasure hunt film.
Yeah, okay, no? I get it now.
Yeah. All I'm trying to say is it's taught me a lot. And actually, right in the beginning, we had loads of young ambassadors. So at the Trust, we have our young ambassadors who are young people who we've helped, and they go out into the field and they go to events and they say, support the Trust because I'm living proof that it works and I've got my own business now, or I'm employed now, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, those guys, the pandemic, they had nothing to do. So for me, I'm reaping the benefits because I got loads of videos in. Mm-hmm. So we asked them to do video content. Now, after a few months, I got very bored of doing that. And that was another challenge, which is why we went back to the young ambassadors for TikTok, because then it gave them a new challenge. And actually, when we were asking them to make stuff for TikTok, a couple of them had their own business and they wanted to learn TikTok anyway. So it was a bit of a win.
Yeah. You're engaging them on something that they want to be engaged with.
Yeah. But authenticity, Joe, I mean, I can't stress it enough. Like, if you're just not the kind of company that's going to be making that stuff, or not the kind of company to speak all stuffy, don't do it. Like,
hugely. Like, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but there's so much false professionalism out there. These companies that are like, because we're accountants, we should wear suits and we should talk professionally and we should talk about, I don't know, debits and credits or whatever. It's like, whoa, no.
You'd obviously know accounting.
It's like, hang on, like
briefcases.
Well, I tried to encourage an accountant to call their podcast Double Entry the other day, and anyway.
God, Joel, that's a risky joke.
But the reality is, people will really sniff out if you're being yourself or not.
Did you actually pitch that?
Yeah. We've changed it to paint by numbers.
They're no longer a client.
But yeah, you've really got to be yourself, because at the end of the day, like, you've got to look yourself in the mirror after you do this stuff. And I'm not afraid to say I really struggled with this for a time, where like you're a friend of mine, you would literally say to me, I've seen your video, Joel. Like, who the fuck is that guy? Because that's not who you are. Like, you're more sarcastic than that. You're a bit meaner than that. Like, let it come out.
I never said meaner.
No, but you meant it.
Yeah. I think actually I said you're more of a bastard than that.
Yeah, I literally do think that's the word you use. And now I'm like, I get people now trolling me for like, do you think that's professional? Or do you think it's acceptable to say that? Well, yeah, because that's what I think. So yeah. I'm okay with it because that's what I believe.
A little thing on those 2 points, Joe. For me, I uphold the values of the Trust whenever I'm out and about.
Of course, because you have to. Yeah.
Well, luckily, the Trust has employed me. You know,
yes.
They do like people, right? Like,
yeah. So they sussed out your values at interview.
Yeah. So my job when I can do my job without a pandemic is going and filming people. And when you're filming people, you do get quite a rapport with them, because sometimes I'll be going in someone's house, or I'll be going to their business, and they're proud to show off what they have, and then you end up being there all day, and you have a cup of tea, and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be obviously always be professional, but like, they're helping you out to make the content.
Yeah,
you're helping them out to kind of get exposure for their business.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm going with this is I'm in a fortunate position at the trust where I do get to meet a lot of people. I'm always in the back of my mind thinking professionalism, but I still have a laugh with them.
Yeah,
Now
yeah, of course.
you're in a very enviable position where you've actually managed to retool things quite a lot from when you first came up. And I think even in the last year and a half at Codebreak, I've seen a massive shift in tone of voice and all sorts of things. Whereas now you can rock in and be yourselves
Yeah,
because you built the brand around yourselves, which is actually a very difficult. You may think it's not an easy thing to do, but I think you may think it is an easy thing to do, but I actually think it takes a lot of courage to do that.
oh, thanks, dude.
Whether yours came out of courage or just came out of being fed up with putting on a face is then another story.
Bit of both. Bit of both.
You're the people that are buying the services are buying from you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not buying, like I've had freelance jobs, and I like, maybe I'm bigging myself up or not, I don't know, but like I know that I haven't been the best at doing the stuff.
Yeah.
But I've got on with the person well.
Yeah, yeah.
I was probably the cheapest as well, but still,
Not anymore.
I think when you're employing people as well, you're investing in people. And I think that old view of like credentials and all of that nonsense, I think it's a bit old school.
We've just done a round of recruitment, and we do ask for CVs, of course, but all of the employment was done on character. I can teach skills, and as long as you've got that hunger and that desire, and you weren't miles away from Codebreak's values in the first place. So much like when the trust would have taken you on, they'd have sussed you out and checked you out on your social media just to make sure they weren't employing a maniac. And
maniac.
It's the same thing we do with our potential employees. Is we suss them out, we check out what their hunger is, we check out what makes them tick. We push a few buttons as well. So a specific example of someone who didn't get the job, I was like, I literally asked them, what makes you tick? Like, what do you do when tools are down? And they said to me, oh, I think my personal life's private. And I was like, well, you're not going to enjoy Codebreak then. I didn't say that, but straight away it's I can't give you a job because you think I'm being intrusive, and actually I want to know what makes you tick so we can make this job better for you. And it's a really interesting shift in the way people are employing now is that whole, we want to know what your values are, what makes you tick, what, not only how you can plug into our business, but how we can plug into your life.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I'm not close to the training at the trust, so I can't attend to this, but I know a lot of the content that we make for TikTok and other stuff is talking about that, about the fact that, make yourself sellable.
Yeah.
And one thing I do say to people, and we say at the trust, is like, if you feel like you haven't got any hard skills, you've got soft skills that you can sell. So like a massive example is like one thing we use a lot is if you raise a family, if you've got a young child, use that as your employment. Like, I'm good at timekeeping because I have to be up, I have to do this.
My kid has to be at school at 8:30.
Keep a goddamn human alive, for Christ's sake,
Yeah.
Like,
not only can I look after myself, but I can look after this little person too.
But when it comes to content, though, there's definitely a couple of things you can teach someone how to click buttons, right?
Of course.
You can teach someone what the hell adjustment layers are in Premiere. You can't teach someone taste. And that's definitely something that I look for. Like,
your Blackpool or your Las Vegas, one or the other.
Not like that, but more just like understanding a brief and making that the right call.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily taste, but like that intuition. Like,
I had this argument.
If you don't know where the cut should be, if I'm watching one of your videos and I'm sitting there thinking you need where it hasn't got a flow to it, then that's not.
Yeah, it's not subjective. So, Jake, I think you're in Southeast Internet.
That's something that's very hard to teach videos, but they might be naturally. Yeah. Oh.
You're breaking up, dude. So, what's your final thought on this content?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, am I back now?
Yeah, you're back. Hit me with your final thought.
Final thought. I don't really know what we've talked about other than content's good.
content and attitude, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I find it fascinating. I feel like I've got so much more to chat about, but generally, content's really important. I would just be authentic, like, and do not get hung up on what the quality of other people's stuff, because quite frankly, it doesn't matter. Like, I used to get really envious on, like, when I was younger, about like the best someone's using that. Oh, someone's got that. I think back in the day, someone's using the Canon 7D. Oh my god, it looks so good. I can't afford it. But the story's crap.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. He's frozen again. Jake, you've been awesome. Thanks very much for coming on the Stay Hungry podcast.